We can do that. Okay, are we good? I am good, yes. Okay. So what I had wanted to talk about this morning was oneness, which we talk about a lot, and which currently it is less easy to practice. When we are going into and coming out of meditation, oneness is very easy to understand. When we're coming out of a meditation, we know we're one. We can get so one, we're one with rocks. We're one with the sand under our feet. And as soon as we turn on the internet, so I wanted to be plain about the fact that these can be troubling times, not just troubling, puzzling. These are times that make very little sense on some levels. People are scratching their heads and saying, how do we get just here? All over the world. And it's hard to understand because we were made out of the atoms of stardust. And we were given this world and life and free will. I mean, how much do you need, really? And still, we look around right now and life is infinitely puzzling because we've got a lot of people telling us how we must live our lives to be right. Are they right? We know that sitting here. But it gets puzzling when we take our eye off the ball. And the ball is us. We're the ball. We were always the only ball. When we are born, we are autonomous. We are going to write our future in some form. There may be plans for us on the part of our parents or our families, our genealogy, our geography. But basically, we can choose to do a massive amount within that. And if we plant our ideas, plant them strongly, no, these are the ones that we want, we grow them as if we have given them water. They get bigger and bigger. And the things that puzzle us start to become less extreme, more understandable, and you start to see a path to make your life right within it. Imagine yourself on a road for a minute. You're walking along the road and a large pebble is in front of you. Not a pebble, a stone, a boulder, a massive boulder. Do you stop and stare at it and wonder if you better deal with it for a while? Or do you go around it? Because no boulder is too big to go around until we're into mountain territory. But we're letting pebbles stop us at this point because there are so many pebbles out there right now that getting through the day seems like enough. As always, I start to bring Hawaiian concepts into my talks. What I want to talk about today are the concepts of pono and pau. Pono means that things are good, okay? Not fine, good, emphatic, emphatically, you know, everything is okay. There are no little bits and pieces hanging out. If everything is pono, it is flowing. if you are looking at what you want in your life and your trajectory isn't Pono, then it's time to look at the things that are keeping it from being that. Identify them. Make a plan for how to step around them. And it can be done. We have all at a time or another had to walk away from a friend or a relative because they were just basically not good for us. It's hard, it hurts. We wish desperately that we could be understood, and it sometimes won't happen. And we walk around those boulders. We need to walk around all of the boulders in order to be really effective and to really, really grab onto the idea of oneness, because people aren't their opinions. It feels like it. Right now, I'm avoiding a certain voting block until after November. That's a personal choice. I just don't want to have the discussion. I don't dislike anybody of a certain voting block. It just makes life simpler right now. That's an example, not advice. It is very important to keep your mind and your heart on you, your ball, so that you have everything positive and powerful to put out there to be part of that oneness. Because anybody that you disagree with, anything that isn't working for you, it isn't because they're bad. Just maybe not right for you or right now. And that's different. The other Hawaiian concept is the concept of pau. Pau means that something is complete. It is finished, not bad like I left a bad marriage. Finished as if I have cleansed my home from top to bottom and it shines and it smells like fresh lemons. Pau is so complete that you feel it all through you. So when you move past something and you decide it's time for it to go away, you study it. Why is this in my life? Why did I feel it should be there? And if I didn't, why did I keep it around? Make sure you know why it's there before you put it away. Because if you don't, it has a tendency to crawl back and sometimes be even a larger boulder when you see it again. And then you'll have to have dealt with it twice, and it may ask you why. So very, very important at all times to know that you are pal with your decisions, but make them. Make sure that your decision is Pono and that the result is pal. And you will start to feel cleaner. And any grudges and angers that you start to feel about people around you will start to fade away. And you'll start to understand people that are disturbing you better. They're just dealing with their own things. Fear is insidious. People can plant the tiniest seed of fear, and we can propagate the rest of it all on our own. It doesn't take a lot. One morning, Barbara and I had intended to drive out for breakfast, but her car broke down about 5 blocks from my house. And we were in the middle of Park Street and Encinal Avenue. And it just sat there. There was no moving this sucker. And person after person honked. People made gestures. The garbage company came by in their truck and they were yelling at us. We pay them money. Probably 20 minutes later, we'd called AAA. 20 minutes later, finally, a couple of really nice fellows came up and said, would you like help moving your car around the corner? God, yes. So we moved the car around the corner. And a fellow came up from KRON News. And so we were sitting there in the car. Keys were in the ignition, doors were open, and we were chatting. And he came up and wanted to talk to us about all the carjackings in Alameda and how did we feel with the keys in the car and the doors open, being elderly ladies and all. And we just kind of stared at him. We had to be the worst interview in the whole world. I can't remember what we said, but it was kind of along the line of, hey, we're just sitting here talking. And it doesn't take long to plant a seed of fear. If he'd hit any other two little old ladies sitting in cars, they might have taken the keys right out of the ignition, closed the doors, and locked it right up. If you convince somebody that something is going to hurt you, could hurt you, might hurt you, even if they have never seen it, it could be out there. It might be out there. I've heard it's out there. It doesn't take a lot. And if we haven't seen evidence that it isn't there, which is basically impossible to produce, and that's fear. It's not the proper fear that it's instilled in us at birth that says, run from actual danger. That's the good kind. Okay, that's the only kind you ever need. If you're getting frightened of things that aren't there, that's not serving you. If you are only scared of the things you've heard exist, that's not serving you either. We are one, all of us, even the people we think we don't like, we are one. We just think differently. The song this morning, although it drove the point home a lot of times, love can build a bridge from your mind to your heart. Your mind hears everything, but kind of works it through. Your heart feels emotional things, and it can go everywhere. You have to make sure that you're connected. This is where meditation comes in. You have to make sure that your mind and your heart, your emotions are operating at the same speed, on the same page, so that you intuitively understand what is real to you. You don't believe what you hear on the news or read on the internet unless it is proven to you, and you don't worry about it. Many of us are getting older. We have more physical things to deal with on a daily basis, and I'm here to tell you, life gets no less joyous. Life is full of beautiful things, and we can live them every day. We don't want to be here to pick our days apart. We want to be here to make them as whole as possible and live them in togetherness as much as we can. And we do that by allowing our similarities to be the things that take root in us. Allowing our love, our presence to be the thing that is all powerful for us. We each have gifts. I don't know what anybody's gifts here are, but you do. Remember when we were young and we were first learning about metaphysics and we're like, oh, I can manifest being a rock star. And most of us didn't turn out to be rock stars. I myself envisioned myself as more of a folk singer. But it turned out that that wasn't where my talent is. We each have talent. I would not want to stack my voice up against Meredith's. We each have something though, and we have something that we can put out there. Our light shines whether we turn it on or not. How brightly it shines, that's up to us. We each have an opportunity every single day to say, this is my gift. This is what I'm going to do with it. Now, if we want to, be inside and watch rom-coms all day, you're allowed to do that. But then tomorrow, get up and say, this is my gift. What am I going to do with it? There is time for everything. There is time for us to be full beings, but only if we cast aside the boulders and don't allow fear to overtake us. Don't allow the first thing we see in other people to drive fear into us, because it's imaginary. It's imaginary. And if they seem unkind to you, just realize that they're coming from their own bases of things that they're working through. People aren't naturally unkind, thoughtless, mean. That's not no one's base nature. Now I've met a couple that would, tempt me a bit on that, but really, it's good morning, Barbara. Okay. So when we're deciding what makes us whole, what makes me whole? Kathy does, Meredith does, Ron does. All of you make me whole. I help make you whole. We are one. We are each our own little ball. We are all connected. Anything that looks like dissociation is not in our best interest now or at any time. So let's walk around those boulders, okay? Namaste.